All right, welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of the No Money Real Estate Podcast. And you know what's really special about this episode? It's not going to have anything to do with real estate. I want to talk about you. If you listen to the next 20 minutes in this podcast episode, you are going to understand yourself at a deeper level, and you're going to unlock the reasons you're not making as much money as you want to in life. And we're going to get into this right after this.
Hey, my name's Ken Dunn, and I'm a real estate investor. I want to welcome you to the No Money Real Estate Podcast. On this show, I'm going to interview elite level real estate investors from all over North America. And I'm going to help you to see one thing that all successful real estate investors have in common. They built their portfolios without using a dime of their own money. I've got a portfolio of $300 million in real estate. That includes resorts, apartment buildings, commercial buildings, and I built the entire portfolio without using a dime of my own money. Real estate is a business that anybody can get into, but the strategies that those tight real estate investors use to build massive portfolios have been kept secret for decades. Now, because of this show, I'm going to reveal them to you. So let's get started.
Even the intro that I use for this episode doesn't fit, right? Hi, I'm Ken Dunn. I'm a real estate investor. This has nothing to do with real estate. The reason I want to talk to you right now and what I want to talk to you about actually comes from the critics. So as everybody knows, the bigger you get in the world, in any space that you're in, the more money you make, the more successful you are, the more critics that you're going to have. And critics reveal themselves in many different ways. If you're running paid advertisements on any of the platforms where there's comments enabled, the critics are the ones that are going to be making the negative statements. The critics are the ones that are going to be talking about you behind your back. The critics are the ones that create fake profiles and fake names on Reddit so they can just unleash all of their criticisms to the world. But here's the thing. Here's something else the critics are. The critics are predominantly broke and predominantly don't have any money. Critics themselves are hurting themselves, are holding themselves back. And I want to help everybody to understand what you need to do if you are really serious about making a lot of money in your life. I grew up poor. My dad was in the Canadian Navy. In 1980, he was on a Navy ship. Listen to this. He was a senior petty officer. So he was like, there was 300 of them on this Navy ship, and he was in the top 20 of people, like most responsibility, highest ranks, and all this type stuff. And he made $31,000 a year. And I had a brother and a sister, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. We had no money. And it wasn't an easy life growing up as a kid. Now, I don't resent my parents for it. I love them dearly. They did a lot for me. But the biggest thing they did for me, they don't even realize they did. They lit the entrepreneurial fire inside of me. And I decided at an early age that I was going to be wealthy and that I was going to make more money. And there's some things that happened in my journey that I want to share with you guys right now, in case you're in that same place right now. The first thing that I did at 15 years old, that if I look back on where I'm at today and I say, okay, what caused that to happen? The very first thing that happened when I was 15 years old, I got a full-time job working in a gas station as I was going to school. So I would go to school from 7:30 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon. My shift at the gas station would start at 5 o'clock, and I'd work the afternoon shift. This was 15, 16, and 17 years old. I did this for 3 years. And I made as much money as my father did in his full-time career because of the type of work I was doing. What did I do with that money? I did a whole bunch of stupid shit with it. I was a kid. I bought a car. I bought a motorcycle. I started paying some of the bills of the household. I gave my mom money. I did all kinds of things with the money. And it wasn't even about like this intentional thing I did to break the mold, but it happened. The other thing that happened is I started looking for a mentor. The first mentor that I ever had was the owner of that gas station. His name was Danny Ladder. I worked at an Irving station in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia in Canada, for anybody that is familiar with the area. And Danny Ladder was the owner of the station, and he was wealthy. He had the boats, he had the cars, he had the trucks. And while I was working there, I got to know him a little bit, and I realized that this guy could teach me how to be rich. That's all I could think of in my mind. And naturally, I thought if I was going to learn how to be rich from this guy, I had to make myself so valuable to him that he would want to invest that energy and give me that advice. So I did anything I could for him. We had at this gas station, we had 3 big bays in the gas station, and Danny Ladder used to keep his speedboat in one of the bays on the weekends. So I went and figured out, I went to the Canadian Tire and asked them, how do you clean a boat? How do you wax the hull and all that? And out of my own money, one weekend that I was working there on overtime, in the middle of the night, it was dead. I waxed his boat, cleaned his boat, shampooed the carpets. I made the thing look like new. It took me a whole weekend to do it. Danny came into the office on Monday morning and started freaking out, trying to figure out what happened to his boat. And he was asking everybody about it. Nobody knew anything, and he finally came to me and said, "Did you clean my boat?" And I said, "Absolutely, I did." He said, "Why'd you do it?" I said, "Because I want to do stuff for you. Anything I can think of." Well, as things happened, we got closer and closer, and he started teaching me the things. You know what the first thing he told me? I didn't know this about him, but he was a reader. He read books. And he said, "Kid, if you want to really change your life, you need to understand how people you don't know that are wealthy are acting. They all write books. Read their books." And it got me into reading. I got addicted to it. He told me the first 3 books that I should read. If you want to know what those 3 books are, you have to ask me in the chat, what are the 3 books? And I'll tell you in the chat. But I want to do things now that are going to make you ask me questions. I read these 3 books and it blew my freaking mind. It developed in me this incessant desire to learn. Now, a few years later, it wasn't until I was in my 20s that podcasts came out, but then I started listening to podcasts as that happened. And I started learning more and doing more. I ended up getting into law enforcement. And in law enforcement, I did a lot of crazy stuff. I was an undercover drug cop. I was on a SWAT team. But in 1984, I had the chance to learn about police interrogation from the guy who got Ted Bundy to confess to his murders. I went on a month-long police interrogators course. And on that police interrogators course, he introduced me to a psychologist who was one of the leading experts in the world in personalities. Her name is Florence Littauer. She wrote a book called Personality Plus. And our instructors on the interrogation course made us read that book once a week for 4 weeks. And it was that book that changed my life. The reason it changed my life is it told me who I was. And once I knew who I was, it told me how I could take my personality and shift it and change it into a way that I could get whatever I wanted in my life. This is where I want to spend some time talking to you right now. Here's some things that you and I right now need to agree on that are irrefutable. The first thing is this. In Canada, there are 40 million people. In the United States, there are 300 million people. Let's just focus on those 2 countries. In North America, there are 340 million people, give or take. Those 340 million people are all people that have personalities that fit into one of 4 categories. If you look at every personality expert in the world, they are all going to say that there are only 4 personality types. I'll tell you what they are. I'm going to use Florence Littauer's ideologies. I want you guys to read the book Personality Plus if you're really freaking serious about making more money in your life. Let me say that again. If you're really serious about making more money in your life, you need to absolutely understand what your personality is, and whatever the flaws are in that personality type, you need to fucking change them. Nobody else is going to do it. I'm telling you this, and I hope the most negative critics that I have in the world today are listening to this, because I'm talking to you in this episode. The 4 personality types, according to Florence Littauer, the first one is called choleric. Cholerics are like the world leaders, the barn burners, the people that are the richest people in the world. They are the people that run the organizations. And the cholerics, if you want some examples of it, I want you to think of Steve Jobs. In today's world, Elon Musk, President Donald Trump. Most CEOs of companies, politicians, world leaders, they're all cholerics. Cholerics have good traits and they have bad traits. Cholerics, the greatest traits is they run through walls. They get shit done. When they have an idea in their mind of something they want to do, they do it. They succeed. But they leave carnage and destruction along the way. Cholerics are really great at leading teams, of getting people to follow them and getting shit done. They're really bad at building relationships with people, at understanding other people's side of the equation. They're really bad at building that homogeneous society. So normally a choleric CEO will have a president that takes care of the people. That's the way the best organizations are. So choleric is the first one. The next one is called sanguine. Sanguine is the life of the party. As I'm explaining this to you, I want you to figure out which one you are. The sanguines are the life of the party. Sanguines are, the people that are always happy. They always want to go to the party. They always want to do things fun. If they have a choice between working an 8-hour day or shirking out of their responsibilities 2 hours early so they can go to the beach and ride a jet ski, they're going to do that. You've all met sanguines. When you go to a party and you walk into the room, that person that is the one talking to everybody, that everybody likes and everybody's laughing with, most often they're the sanguines. The cholerics in that crowded room of partygoers are going to be the people that are sitting on a couch checking out their phone or talking to one person. The next person is called a melancholy. Melancholies are your accountants, your lawyers, your advocates. And melancholies are people that are really, really freaking good at details. They understand spreadsheets. They understand how things work. They're good at analyzing things. The last is called phlegmatics. Phlegmatics are fucking lazy. Now, Florence Littauer doesn't say that in her book, but she implies it. Here's what a phlegmatic is. Phlegmatics, their favorite phrase in the world, their favorite song ever in history is que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The word mañana in Mexican means tomorrow. I fucking believe it was created by phlegmatic. So phlegmatics are the type that say, well, the cleric will say, hey, listen, we've got to get this thing done. And the phlegmatic will say, yeah, I agree with you. Let's start it tomorrow morning. I'm going to go have a nap. In that world of those four personalities, each of those personalities has a negative influence. So any one of those first personalities can be negative, can be a critic, can be a hater. And here's how you break that. First thing I'm going to tell you is, if you are a critic or a hater of other people that are successful, all you're really doing is telling them that you suck, that you don't know how to get yourself out of that situation, and you've given up hope on trying to fix yourself. And friends, I don't want that for you. I believe if you listen carefully to this and you do the things that I did, you can fix that. The first step in making yourself wealthy is understanding who you are personally. So understanding which type of personality set you are, and understanding if you're a critic or a hater. And you're going to know if you're a critic or a hater, because whenever you see somebody that's better off than you, that's more successful than you, you're the person that's obviously always criticizing them. You're the person that's putting negative comments on Facebook posts. You're the person that believes in conspiracies and that the world is out to get you. And if you want to change that belief, you can. If you want to become a better person, you can. Here's one thing I know. 95% of haters and critics don't listen to podcasts and don't read. If you want to fix this and get better, go find a really freaking amazing podcast show that is positive energy by somebody that is incredibly successful, and listen to what they're saying and do it. And the other thing is, become a reader. Read a book a month. And start with Florence Littauer's Personality Plus. Friends, here's the bottom line to what I was just ranting about. I truly believe the further down I get on this path, the more money I make in my life, the more I realize that I truly believe that anybody can become successful. I truly believe that anybody can make millions of dollars. But you have to understand that nobody is going to do this for you. There are people that will support you if you develop the skills to teach people how to support you, but nobody's going to do it for you. So you're the one that's got to break the mold. You're the one that's got to snap out of it. Now, a couple of pieces of advice I'll give you for snapping out of things. Number one of the best pieces of advice Danny Ladder ever gave me: you're going to be a reflection in the mirror of the people you hang out with, is the way he said it way back in the day. I've heard it more succinctly said: you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Make sure the people that you're hanging out with are more successful than you. Yes, it's going to make you uncomfortable. Some people are going to say, well, that's fucking stupid. I want to hang out with people that I get along with. Yeah, that's great if you want to stay in the financial situation you're in. But if you want to make more money in your life, start hanging out with people that are further down the road than you. You know what happens when you get close to people that are making more money than you? You start to see the things they're doing. The more time you hang out with them, you're hearing the way they're talking, you're seeing the things they're doing, that stuff starts to rub off on you. So start hanging out with better quality people than you. The second thing is, start listening to podcasts. Find a podcast that has somebody that's successful, that's giving you God's honest advice on how you can get to where you want to go, and listen to those podcasts regularly. The third thing, read books. No, seriously. All the critics are going to be like, oh, you're fucking reading. Reading doesn't do anything. Yep. Go talk to any of the wealthiest people in the world, and you're going to find out that every freaking one of them reads books. And they don't read love and romance. They read business books. They read development books. They read books that help to evolve the thinking in their head so they can get more of what they want in life. Hey, if you want to know what those 3 books are, you've got to make a comment and I will respond to that comment. If you appreciate what I said, then give me some feedback about that. Go into the comments and tell me that you appreciated this. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you're listening to this right now and you're still skeptical, that's your problem, not mine. If you want to put some fucking negative comment in the comments too, please do, because you're going to prove what I said in this episode. We'll see you guys all soon.